0-2 runner on the move. Swung on and missed, strike 3. And the Red Sox win this one 7-0 to take the series from the A's. And here come the Kansas City Royals. Should be a lot of fun this weekend. 3 coming up with Kansas City.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Just going into that All-Star break, you want to end on a high note. But Kansas City's got good pitching, and they've added a couple little weapons here and there, so I'm excited. It's going to be a fun one.
Red Sox now just 5.5 out of first place in the American League East.
All right, the Oakland A's getting the hell out of here, which is good. And a big series coming up this weekend. This is a good one. This is why you're a baseball fan. This is why you watch. Red Sox Royals, who would have thunk it coming into this year? Biggest series of the year so far, starting tonight at Fenway Park, and that's what we'll get into early and often tonight on the Baseball Hour with you. It is normally a Friday roundtable. Didn't know Milliken wasn't going to be here. Didn't know Stu was not going to be here. Knew Maz wasn't going to be here. It's a Friday night in the summer. Trust me. You won't see Maz on a Friday until after Labor Day. So you get a lot of me, Matt McCarthy. Sorry about that. It's unfortunate for you. But no Milliken, no Stu, just me, staring into the abyss of 5 hours of sports talk radio on a Friday night in the summer. Thank God we have a lot to get to with the Red Sox. Phone lines open for you at 617-779-0985. Trust me when I say I will get to you early and often tonight. Massive weekend. Massive, massive, massive. Cannot state how big this weekend is for the Red Sox. Every series between now and the trading deadline is huge for them because I think this front office wants to find any justification not to add. But this one's probably the biggest. You enter tonight before the All-Star break, final series before the break, 1 game ahead of Kansas City for the final wild card spot. If you win the series, you take 2 out of 3, you head into the break, 2 in the clear. If you drop the series, you're tied. And don't they want that excuse? Doesn't this front office want that excuse not to add at this deadline? Do not give them any reason or any excuse not to add. And that's been the messaging from Alex Cora. Let's get greedy. I think that's where it started. Let's leave no doubt. And right now, the Red Sox are leaving no doubt. This will not be an easy series this weekend. But if you like baseball and you like fun baseball, this is the series for you. This Royals team is fun. They're kind of like you. They've got an electric young player in Bobby Witt Jr. He is great. They can run. They put pressure on the opposing pitching staff. Their starting pitching has been great, has been a surprise for them, kind of like the Red Sox. The kid they have going tonight, I watched this guy against Corbin Burns early on in the year. I tuned in for a Corbin Burns start, and I said, who the hell is this guy? He's a lefty by the name of Cole Reagans. He is a stud. If you haven't seen him pitch, I'm telling you, you're a baseball fan, carve out some time to watch this guy pitch tonight. He's really good. He's a lefty. He's electric. This is a good one. And Alex Cora's handling it, or Alex Cora is responding to that. First time in a long time tonight, Jarren Duran is not leading off for the Red Sox. Rob Refsnyder's leading off for the Red Sox because Reagans is pitching and he's that good. So Cora dropped Duran down to second in the lineup. And here I am getting excited about lineup decisions. I can talk lineup decisions with you. When was the last time I could open up the baseball hour and say, there's a really good pitcher going for the other team tonight. He's a lefty. He's electric. So Cora's going to Refsnyder, and let's talk about it at 617-779-0985. You can only talk about it if you care. And I sense that you're starting to care. I'm starting to care. I'm starting to get as invested in this Red Sox team as I've been in a long time. I'm getting excited about lineup decisions tonight, man. I'm getting excited about pitching matchups. Criswell's coming up from Worcester, whatever there, but Reagans is going tonight for Kansas City. This is a good weekend of baseball, man. This is a good weekend of baseball. I'm getting excited to watch baseball. Because trust me, for the last few years doing this show, sitting down on a Thursday night to watch a Red Sox game felt like work. It felt like an obligation. And I get it. I'm lucky to do what I do. Nobody understands they're more lucky than I am to come in and talk sports and talk baseball with you, my favorite sport. But trust me, times over the last 2 years, it's felt like work to watch the Red Sox play. I was in New York on Tuesday night. I was at Citi Field checking out that ballpark. And I was kind of pissed that I was missing the Red Sox-A's game on a Tuesday night in the summer. When was the last time I felt that way? I don't know. When was the last time you felt that way? I couldn't wait to get back to tune in and watch the Red Sox over the course of the last 2 nights against the Oakland A's. When was the last time you were this excited for Red Sox baseball? So I just want this organization to not take that away from me, man. I don't want that. This team is fun. Winning is good, Chris Gasper. I don't know if you heard Gasper earlier on today. Winning is good. Actually, winning isn't bad. It's good. This is good. I'm enjoying Red Sox baseball for the first time in a long time. I can't wait to dig in and watch this series this weekend. And my concern is they're going to look for an excuse to take it away. They're going to look for an excuse to take away your fun and my fun and what's going on with this team right now. And I'm just begging this team to not let them do that. To leave truly no doubt. And there should be no doubt. There should be no doubt. They're 10 games above 500. They're in a playoff spot. They're starting to get better. This is a young team that's starting to get better. There should be no doubt. But based on the comments you've heard, I'm sure there is doubt in that organization. Leave no doubt. And it starts this weekend. Massive series against the Kansas City Royals. 1 up on Kansas City for the final wild card spot in the American League. Final series before the All-Star break. That's good stuff. That's compelling stuff. To you early and often at 617-779-0985. Anything you want. Let's go to Brian in Norwood, leading off tonight on the Baseball Hour. The table is not round tonight because it's just McCarthy. Hi, Brian.
What's up?
How you doing?
Matt, being a baseball lover, any idea the name? I love sports nicknames. The Kansas City Royals. Any idea, without having to Google it off the top of your head, the origins? So I'm just throwing this out there as if you were right next to me at Lewis's and I was busting your chops.
I don't know, Brian. I mean, I know Philadelphia. The A's left there and the Royals came in. What's the origin?
So you were already correct. The Connie Mack and the A's left Philly. They went to Kansas City, and then during that whole California expansion, the Royals became the A's became the Oakland A's, but they left their colors behind. And when the franchise wanted a stadium, they kept the colors, and they decided to call themselves the Royals after the royal blue from the Philadelphia A's.
There you go. All right. Little Philadelphia A's talk to open up the Baseball Hour tonight. How about Ryan in New Hampshire? Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Matt. How are you? Thanks for taking the call.
Anytime, man.
Hey, I want to talk about the fifth starter. I feel like tonight's a perfect night to do it. I think the Sox need to make a move for a pitcher, right? Like, I'm tired of seeing Winkowski and Criswell up and down. They either got to make up their minds and pick one of those guys or trade for a starter. Yeah,
Ryan, they need to trade for a starter. Criswell's given them more than you possibly could have ever hoped for. Hey, even Winkowski, coming up has been, up and down, right? These innings are going to start piling up. They need 2 starters, really. And I'll take one because that would be more investment than you've seen, ever before. But they need a starter, preferably a lefty. I want somebody with term. I mean, Garrett Crochet is obviously, the... the pipe dream, that's probably not going to happen, but anybody, they need a body. They need somebody to start to eat some innings for this team because Tanner Houck, you saw him pitch, last night. He's going to approach his innings max or the most innings he's ever thrown. Same could be said for, Cutter Crawford, who's going tomorrow. Obviously, Bayo hasn't been very good. Yes, it's a massive need. And I just want the Red Sox to leave no excuse, to leave no doubt for this front office to force them and go out and trade for somebody. Whether it's just, Yusei Kikuchi, somebody who can, come in here as a lefty. I'd prefer it to be a lefty, but anybody who can eat some innings would be good for me. And I think tonight's a perfect example of that. You're having to call up Cooper Criswell, who's been better than you ever could have thought, but you're calling up Criswell from Worcester, and the Royals are tossing a left-handed stud by the name of Cole Reagans. You just need to be a little bit better there. You've shown that you're worthy of the investment. Go out and do it. How about Charles in Connecticut? Hey, Charles.
Hey, Matt. This is Charles, and I'm a Soxaholic. I have to admit it, and I do care. I've always cared, although I agree with you. Last year it was pretty tough, where they had guys playing out of position the entire season. To the previous caller's point, you just talked about the amount of innings starters are pulling up this year. They definitely need another starter. Do you think they would even consider a sixth starter so these guys get a little more rest, assuming they get a couple of guys that can eat some innings? Because it isn't just how it's everybody.
Yeah.
You know, last year, none of the starters went more than 3 innings. It was the total reverse of the problem.
Yeah,
the bullpen was blown.
Charles, I couldn't agree more with you on that. If they went out and acquired 2 starters, do that to manage it. Do that to manage Houck. Do that to manage Cutter Crawford. You're starting to take some blows in the bullpen right now. Justin Slayton, who has come out of the woodwork for this team, has gone on the injured list with elbow inflammation today. Chris Martin's hurt. So, that's also a way to help your bullpen. If you can extend starters out over the course of 6 days instead of 5, let's just see if the Red Sox add, first and foremost. I would like them to add a 5th starter before we even start talking about a 6th. Alex Cora would say, let's get greedy. I would say, let's not get greedy when it comes to that, because I don't even know if they're going to add. Brian in Costa Rica? You're calling all the way from Costa Rica?
Yes, I am.
Hell yeah, Brian.
How's it going?
What's up?
So I have a question for you. I've been reading up on Marcelo Meyer, and it sounds like, based on the scouting reports I've read, and you can correct me if this is not a good perception, it sounds like he's good but limited range. So there's going to be balls that Gold Glove caliber shortstop might get to that he's not going to get to, but anything that he gets to he's going to be pretty good with. Is that basically correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Maybe kind of along the lines of a Xander Bogaerts. He is a bat-first shortstop.
Exactly. Later in his career, you're going to have to shift him to a corner infield position.
Yep.
So currently in the Red Sox organization, say above high A ball, you have what to me is 3 shortstops. You have Trevor Story, who's injured. You have Rafaela, who I think is probably Gold Glove caliber in the field. I don't know that he'd ever win one at shortstop, but I think he's that good at the position. And then you have Meyer. Which one, long term, do you think is the best option? If you just said Rafaela, you're a shortstop, and you play shortstop, would he be the best option?
Brian, it is a fascinating question that I want to answer here on the other side, because I had the same thought last night. Did you see the play that Cedar Rafaela made last night going into the hole at shortstop? I mean, it was Jeter-esque, except it looked better because Jeter was an overrated defender. But it was an outstanding play from Cedar Rafaela. And that got me thinking about not only the future of the franchise, but also this trading deadline. And not to say the embarrassment of riches you have in the middle infield, but decisions that need to be made in the middle infield. Let's get to that and to your thoughts on this Royals series, on the trading deadline, anything you want. We are open tonight on the Baseball Hour Roundtable at 617-779-0985. No Maz, no Milliken, no Stu. Thank God Majori's here. It's McCarthy in for all of those guys here on the Sports Hub.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Still haven't figured out parking for the concert? With Spot Hero, it's already figured out. Visit SpotHero.com or download the free app. Search your venue, find your spot, and reserve. Get 10% off your first park with code ENCORE10. Spot Hero. Where do you park?
At Gulf, we're Red Sox fans just like you. We love Fenway. We love Fenway Franks. We love Wally. We even have a Green Monster replica. And at Gulf, we also love when the Red Sox win, especially on the road. So when the Red Sox win on the road this regular season, you win at the pump. Save 10 cents off per gallon with Gulf Pay when the Red Sox win on the road. See Red Sox and Gulf Pay baseball promotion terms and conditions. MasterCard accepted. Gulf is a proud partner of the Boston Red Sox.
If you need tires, think Town Fair Tire. Thinking name brands? We have them all. Thinking price? We beat the competitors. Free services? We have those too.
But no, this team isn't fun. They're not worthy of an investment. Just another moment last night in, a 1 out of 162 game against Oakland, a Thursday night in the summer, but Cedon Rafaela goes into the hole and makes a great play. If you saw it, the Jeter jump, man, that guy can pick it. Doesn't matter where you put him, that guy can pick it. And he wasn't even really your starting shortstop to begin the year. He wasn't your starting shortstop. That would be one Trevor Story. And I saw Rafaela make that play last night, and I said, that's a really good play. If Trevor Story made that play, you'd say, yep, that's why he's out there. Trevor Story is a really good shortstop, a really good fielder. Then it got me thinking about the future. Jarren Duran has emerged. He can be your center fielder for the next few years here. We just had a caller say, hey, McCarthy, Marcelo Meyer's coming up. And there's some questions about his glove, but he's a bat-first player. What's your future at shortstop? Cedon Rafaela is proving to you that he belongs in the big leagues, and he can help you win baseball games every single night. Whether it's, if he gets on base, he can, affect the game by stealing a bag. No matter where you put him, center field, shortstop, second base, he's going to help you win a game with his glove. He's not the world's best hitter, but he hits for some pop. It's not going to give you the best at bat every single time, but at the bottom of your lineup, you can do a hell of a lot worse than a guy who can play Gold Glove quality second base, Gold Glove quality shortstop, and Gold Glove quality center field, who has some pop and when he gets on can steal a bag. The guy's a good player. He's turning into a good player. I think he's going to be a good player for you moving forward. So what do? Is Duran your center fielder moving forward? You got Roman Anthony coming up. This gets back into the All-Star, the trading deadline coming up. You're running out of spots for guys. I've said it for weeks. I'm going to say it again after last night watching Cedon Rafaela play shortstop. You're running out of spots. Roman Anthony's coming up. You've got Duran. You've got Abreu, who you like. All of those are left-handed hitters, by the way. Marcelo Meyer's coming up. You like him. He's a left-handed hitter, by the way. They all play shortstop and they all play outfield. You're going to run out of spots for guys eventually. You need to make a decision. And to me, you could put this decision off to the offseason. You can say, okay, well, which prospect are we going to keep? Which prospect are we going to move on from? Why not make the decision now? Why not make the call now? When somebody like Garrett Crochet is available and is going to cost you a lot, right? It's going to cost you a lot because he's a young left-handed pitcher under team control for a long time. Should you be willing to move a Marcelo Meyer or a Roman Anthony in a deal for a cost-controlled young pitcher who is going to help you this year and for years to come? And to me, the answer is yes. And this is not a pound the table, you must trade Marcelo Meyer for in-the-moment thing. No, this is about helping your future. This is about helping your present and your future by trading a player who is a surplus to you and acquiring a player who you don't have. You don't have a young, cost-controlled, left-handed pitcher in your organization. Anywhere. Majors, minors, you don't have it. You got a million shortstops. I saw one again last night. Trevor Story's going to come back next year. Where's he going to play? You're paying him $90 million over the course of the next 3 years. He can't hit. He's only a fielder, and he can run a little bit. You're putting Trevor Story at second base where he's not as valuable to your team? You putting Marcelo Meyer then at second base where you're going to stunt his development? Where are you putting Cedon Rafaela? Okay, so we're going to put Rafaela in right or in center. We're going to put Duran in left, and then we're going to have Abreu in right. Okay, well, where do you put Roman Anthony, who you keep hearing so much about? Well, just platoon him with Abreu. Wait, no, they're both left-handed hitters. You got David Hamilton right now. You like him? You like that speed? You're running out of spaces. You're running out of spots. And you can trade from a surplus to acquire something you don't have. There are two things you don't have in this organization right now. You don't have a right-handed power hitter, and you don't have left-handed pitching, or just starting pitching in general, anywhere, majors, minors. I mean, we talked about it. They need a fifth starter. They've got a bunch of guys who are coming up on their innings highs for their career. You need more pitching, and you need a right-handed bat. Why wait until the offseason to make a decision on Wilyer Abreu or Roman Anthony or Marcelo Meyer or any of these guys? Connor Wong hit a home run last night. Kyle Teal, to me, might be your best prospect. He's a catcher. Now, I'm fine with keeping 2 catchers. Are you? You can make that decision. You're running out of spots. Why wait until the offseason? Do it now. It'd be one thing if this team weren't good. It'd be one thing if this team weren't in a playoff spot right now. You're in a playoff spot. You're 10 games over 500. And I heard Sam Kennedy say, the other day, we need to see if we can make the right deal. You have enough to make the right deal. The question is, do you want to? You want to go get Garrett Crochet? Don't tell me it's expensive. Of course it's going to be expensive. It's always expensive. Baseball players are expensive, whether it's financially or in terms of prospect capital. John Henry will be the first to tell you that baseball players are expensive. Get used to it. It's the cost of doing business. Improve this team. Not only for this year, but for the future. You have the ability to do so, and a whole bunch of guys who are going to have nowhere to play in a year. Decision time's now, man. Decision time is now. 617-779-0985. How about Dean in Shrewsbury? Hey, Dean.
Hey, so other than somebody that's like a slam dunk like Garrett Crochet, I don't think that we should be looking at keeping on long-term salary. That just limits our flexibility, and we're enough under the luxury tax right now that we can take on salary that without giving up too many prospects if teams have expiring deals that keep them over the luxury tax. I've been sort of pounding the table on this. We don't have to give up too many prospects to really help our ball club out because of how much under the luxury tax we are.
So, Dean, you're spot on about that. I would just say the whole we don't have to give up too many prospects thing. We've had that attitude for years now. The Red Sox have had that attitude. I think, a portion of the fan base has that attitude. And I probably come across as somebody who, doesn't like the farm system and doesn't like the minor leagues. I actually love it. I geek out on it. It's where I started my professional career in the minor leagues, working up in Portland. I love this stuff. I love farm systems. I check Sox prospects all the time. I love it. You have too many. You have too many guys at this point. You have a big 3. Keep 2, trade 1. Don't keep all 3. That's not how you build a winning baseball team in the end. You say, hey, go out and acquire a rental pitcher. It's not going to cost you much in prospect capital, and use your financial might and your financial flexibility to make that happen. Yeah, sure. That's a perfectly fine approach. Can't say I disagree with it one bit. I just disagree with we don't want to give up too much in the way of prospects. If you get a guy with team control for a year and a half, I will absolutely give up some prospects right now. Why wouldn't you? We just listed it all off. They're all middle infielders, they're all outfielders, and they're all left-handed hitters. Your top 10 prospects right now: Anthony, Meyer, Teal, Miguel Blaze, Christian Campbell, Luis Perales, Yolan Cespedes, Dick Fitz, David Sandlin, Nazan Zanatello. 7 of them are hitters. Campbell, middle infield, outfield guy. Anthony, center fielder. Meyer, shortstop. Blaze, center fielder. Cespedes, middle infielder. Zanatello, middle infielder. They all play the same position, and they're all left-handed. Just about the majority of them. Where are you going to play all these guys? No. Start trading prospects now. Now's the time. Don't trade them all. Christian Campbell is this high riser in the system. Trade him. If you're keeping Anthony and you're keeping Meyer, trade the next guy on the list. Why is Nick York still here? Another middle infielder. The whole, you don't want to give up much in the way of prospects. Yeah, I get that if you're rebuilding. But the rebuild's over, folks. And I hope they realize this over on Jersey Street. The rebuild is over. You're in it. This team is ready for an investment, and you can't just hoard your prospects forever. Eventually, you're going to end up with 6 second basemen, which you basically have now. 617-779-0985. How about Nick and Mendon? Hey, Nick.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for taking the call.
No problem.
Clearly they need another starter, and Crochet makes too much sense. It's just tough when you're a mid-market team and you're not in one of these major markets where you can go out, when you have the prospect capital, and you can pay a guy Those days are just gone.
Here's the thing about Crochet, Nick, and I'm going to let you go on that. He's under team control through 2027. That's why it's going to cost you one of your big three to make it happen. I would do it. I would absolutely do it. Because if John Henry's decided he doesn't want to spend money on his baseball team, okay. I disagree with that. I hate that. But I made this argument with Chaim Bloom, and I'll make it with Craig Breslow. You still have $220 million to spend on your baseball team. You're not the Tampa Bay Rays, even though you want to act like it at times. You're telling me that you can't go out and trade one of your big three prospects for Garrett Crochet, who's going to be under team control and cheap for years to come? Guy hasn't even hit arbitration yet. He's got 3 more years of arbitration, 3.5 years of team control. Yeah, that's going to cost you a hell of a lot. It's going to cost you one of your big three. I'd do it. I'm not doing it for 2 of them, but I'd do it for 1 of them. Meyer's probably the guy I'd pick because for better or for worse, you're paying Trevor Story and you've got Cedon Rafaela, and I would keep Teal and I'd probably keep Anthony over Meyer. That's just the evaluation that I've made. You can say I'd rather trade Anthony, or you can say I don't want to trade any of the big three. And that's what I would say is wrong. I'm not saying you trade him for rentals, but if Garrett Crochet is available, or if this guy is available, as Andrew in Albany wants to talk about, I would make the trade. Who do you want to talk about, Andrew?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Perfect fit, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I don't see, with the logjam that you have going on with all these prospects, particularly because they're all left-handed batters, I really don't see why you can't take a call or give that call. It doesn't mean that you don't believe in your prospects to just see if they'll bite on them. And frankly, if, let's say Roman Anthony goes on to be an all-star, you can say via con Dios, we got Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yep. Andrew, I could not agree more about that. Power hitting, right-handed bat, who owns Fenway Park. I'll bring up his stats during the break. I mean, they are ridiculous. His swing is built for Fenway. They don't have anybody like him in the organization. You're telling me that for the next year and a half at least, because he's under contract and he's 25 years old, you can put Vlad Guerrero Jr. in between Rafael Devers and Tristan Casas in your lineup. And you're telling me you wouldn't give up Marcelo Meyer for him. I know a lot of you wouldn't. And again, it sounds like I hate on Marcelo Meyer and hate on prospects. No, not in the slightest. But if I knew Marcelo Meyer had somewhere to play next year, or if I didn't have 17 other shortstops right now, I'd say, yeah, hold on to him. You got 3 big guys down there. Trade one of them. Trade one. It's not an unreasonable ask for somebody with term, somebody who's going to impact your franchise for a long time. Garrett Crochet is that. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is that. And with Crochet in particular, it doesn't cost you anything financially. It only costs you prospect capital. Is Breslow going to be different than Bloom in that regard? That we don't have the answer to. I would like to pressure him here and now. Craig, start trading some prospects, man. Start trading some prospects. It's time. The time has arrived. 617-779-0985. One open phone line right now. Grab it. We'll get to you next. I do want to get to Sam Kennedy's comments as well, and a comment that Jared Carabas had earlier on this week in the program about who's making the decision over there and who we really need to pressure for the Red Sox to have a big deadline. We'll do that next. McCarthy in for Maz and everybody else on the Baseball Hour.
News on the Sports Hub.
The question I have is, if the right deal is available, that means you will have to take on a decent amount of salary for this year. Would this team do it?
Without question. This ownership group, John Henry and Tom Werner, Mike Gordon, the entire Fenway Sports Group partnership have proved time and time again in our 2.5 decades that resources will not be a problem when it comes to doing everything we can to be a winning championship team for the now and for the long term. It is hard, and you have years where you don't meet expectations like we've had the last 2 years. So that is something that has always been a hallmark of this organization, and resources won't be a problem. Now, can we match up on a deal that makes sense? We'll have to see. What are the next couple of weeks going to bring? We don't know, but there's a great feeling in that clubhouse. There's a great vibe in the front office. AC and Brez are on the exact same page about what we're trying to do here. I really think the Boston Red Sox organization have an elite baseball operation right now, and it's a special time.
Boy, there is just so much there that I do not believe. And how could you? So much there that is an outright lie. I mean, to say that the Red Sox have done everything in their power to build a winner, and I'm paraphrasing there from Sam Kennedy, for the last 2.5 decades is just flat out wrong. They did it for a long time. They did it for 15 years, but I mean, if you think they did everything in their power over the last 5 years and, utilized all of the resources available to them over the last 5 years, I mean, you're just kidding yourself. Sam Kennedy needs to stop that. If I were advising Sam, if I were Sam's PR guy, I would just say, Sam, stop saying stuff like that. Come out and admit, you didn't spend as much money on this team in the last few years as you should have. You guys wanted to pull back. Because it's hard for me to believe you when you do say things like, undeniably, if there's a deal to be made and there's salary to take on, we'll do it. Maybe he's being honest about that. Maybe he's being truthful about that. I have to hold out hope that he is, that they've changed their mind over there. For years I heard, we have to be responsible. It's not really the right time to invest right now. I mean, you can't be reckless. You can't go out and improve this team. You can't spend money on this team right now. I mean, the luxury tax is so punitive in baseball. We aren't ready to win yet. And, this was the excuse for not investing and not buying. It's not the right time. Don't you see? It's about the 5-year plan, which, of course, we all understand is ridiculous for the Red Sox, who should be able to build a major league team and also rebuild their minor league system at the same time. They have the resources to do that, but they chose not to. But the whole, we're not really ready to win thing yet for the last few years. We're ahead of schedule. It's again, they almost treated 2021 like an inconvenience. If you really did believe that, and I'm not quite sure that you did, and I think you were using that as an excuse to not spend money for a few years, but if you really did believe that, now you are ready to win. And I hope Sam Kennedy is being truthful when he says that if there's a deal to be made, they will take on money and they will invest in this team to improve in this team.
Without question.
Without question, Sam. Come on. Don't gaslight us, man. Don't do that thing you've been doing for the last year plus, trying to gaslight us, calling us liars. You're a liar. You're a liar if you don't think, if you say that we haven't invested everything we could. What? Come on. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious, Sam. Really. But I hope they are paying attention over there. I hope they're ready to win, because this team is ready to win. They're ready to win. They're younger. They're getting better. We just talked about it. They've got too many prospects for the number of spots on a baseball field right now. It's time. Now it's time to go. It's time to go. Which brings me to Jared Carrabis' comments to Tony Maserati earlier on this week. Where does Craig Breslow stand in all of this?
Do they believe in this team? What's your answer?
My answer is I don't think that John Henry's really paying attention. I don't think he's up to speed on how well.
Okay, what about Craig Breslow?
I don't think that his opinion matters. Whether they buy or they sell or they stand pat, it's almost like it's not even a Breslow decision. That's Sam Kennedy. That's John Henry.
I totally believe that. It's not entirely up to Breslow. It's up to Sam Kennedy. Now, as I said, and listen, I think that's, the way it's been for years now. I don't think it was totally up to Chaim Bloom about whether or not he could, add salary or not. No, I mean, that's an ownership level decision. Undeniably, ownership has held this team back. But if we're being fair, a move like Garrett Crochet doesn't involve ownership getting involved because you're not taking on any money. You're not. Not for this year. Guy's getting paid $800,000. You can tell me, let's say they say you literally can't bring in a cent. You can't find a way to shed $800,000 to bring that guy in. It just involves trading a prospect. So, yes, it's up to Sam Kennedy because John Henry's not paying attention, as Jared Carrabis just said. Sam Kennedy is the person we need to be pressuring to get the Red Sox to buy at this deadline. But even if Sam Kennedy goes to Craig Breslow and says, you cannot add salary, a good general manager, a creative general manager will work around that. Oh, you're not going to let us add salary? You need us to stay at $220 million or whatever they're at? Okay, well, I'm going to attach a prospect with Masataka Yoshida and get him the hell out of here. I'm going to get that money off the books so I can add. Is it great? No. Is it creative? Yes. To work within the parameters that ownership has set for you. Oh, you're not going to let me add salary? That's fine. Garrett Crochet is available for $800,000. It just involves me trading my best prospect to do it. Well, you know what? Garrett Crochet is going to help this team this year, and for the next 3 years, I'm going to do it because I have 17 other shortstops right now that can play for me. Like that is a baseball decision. That's not an ownership decision. Ownership sets the parameters. And the parameters they've set here for years aren't good enough. We all know that. But the previous general manager wasn't good enough to operate within those parameters, and I wonder where Craig Breslow falls in all of that. We don't have the answer on that. I hope he's more aggressive. I hope he's more creative. I hope he's a better general manager than Chaim Bloom, because it wasn't all ownership holding Chaim Bloom back. That's for sure. And if there was one good thing Bloom did, it's that he accumulated a whole bunch of prospects. He hoarded them and wasn't willing to move away from any of them. And now it's up to the next guy to say, okay, well, we've got 6 middle infielders right now for next year, for 2025. Story, Meyer, Hamilton, Valdez, Grissom, York, and actually throw Christian Campbell in there, so that's 7. All right, well, we need to pick 3 of them, and 4 of them got to go. That's what a good general manager does. Will Breslow be willing to do that?
Can I add in, Matt?
Yeah.
I hate to go back to 2 deadline acquisitions that actually they were go to Schwarber and Steve Pearce. They both worked out well.
Yes.
Right? But both of those guys weren't the number one guy on the market at that point. And forgive me if I've tuned out and you did say this earlier, but you talk about the creativity aspect. Maybe not this is the creativity. This is more going deeper down and saying, all right, I need to find somebody with cheap money that's maybe not going to cost me as big a prospect because they don't want me to get rid of a prospect. Can he identify that guy? Can he identify the Steve Pearce of this deadline that's going to help this team, and we can look back and say, oh, well, it didn't actually cost a lot, and he turned out to be a valuable ad.
Right. So, listen, there are 2 ways you can go at the deadline. I've spent a lot of the show tonight saying, let's get greedy, go for the big fish, right? Because I think they're in a position where they should be investing in the big fish, not necessarily from a monetary point, but more from a prospect capital point. And I've made the argument, and I think it's a spot-on one. If I do say so myself, I am right. If I do say so myself, it's spot on. They're running out of guys. So, they're running out of spaces, so it's time to start trading prospects. And if one of your top prospect goes, that's okay, so long as you get a good return back. The other argument, which is the argument that you're making, and I think the argument that most Red Sox fans would probably make, is, you need to acquire the veteran role player. And whether that guy has term or it doesn't really matter because you're trying to go out and acquire a platoon right-handed bat. I say go get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because I think you're at a point where you should be big fish hunting. But you might say find this year's version of Steve Pearce. Both of those routes are A-okay by me. You just need to add. And the question is, will they add? Because Craig Breslow has not exactly sounded like somebody who's even willing to do that. You're telling me that Nick York, right now, your 11th prospect in your system, 12th prospect in your system, and probably your 7th best middle infield player heading into next year. You're telling me you can't trade that guy for this year's version of Steve Pearce, or try and, do the Nate Eovaldi thing. Do any of you miss Jalen Beeks? Do any of you? How about Bobby Kilty? You acquired him in 2007. How about Jake Peavy? You acquired him in 2013. People thought it was crazy to get rid of Iglesias at that time. I remember. It was basically my first take on 98.5 The Sports Hub, defending the Jake Peavy trade. You know what my argument was? You have Xander Bogaerts coming right up. He's going to be here in a couple of weeks. Where were you going to play Jose Iglesias? Where? Same thing with all these guys. Pick the guy you like, trade the ones you don't like as much. You can't like all of them. And if you like all of them, that's fine. You have to be willing to get rid of some of them. 617-779-0985. How about Jim and Whitman? Hey, Jim.
Hey, how you doing, pal?
What's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on, I think it's very important. I was actually, I've been a fan of the Red Sox for a long time, and, I'm glad they didn't give up in 67. That team was a 100-1 underdog to win the pennant.
Yep.
And they didn't give up on their players. They had young players. They ended up winning the pennant. And if they had a healthy Tony Trigliano, they would have won the World Series. But I think they should support this team. Sign players that can help them get over the hump, because these players have played hard for this management, and to just not do anything is just, to me, it's a slap in the face on players who want to win, who probably overachieved a bit, but they got speed. They got guys like Hamilton. I mean, even the catcher can run. Duran, and their pitching isn't bad. It's a lot better than I thought it was, and I think they should go with the flow and see what happens on that.
Jim, I couldn't agree more. Find me a Red Sox fan who disagrees right now, outside of Chris Gasper. Gasper, if you're listening, what an asinine take earlier. Love you, mean it, but my God. No, you need to invest in this team. The whole, it doesn't really matter if you make the World Series thing, because look at where the Diamondbacks are this year. How long are you going to keep kicking the can down the road on this thing? It's not like we're making an argument for a team that isn't in the playoffs or hasn't shown that it's improving. They're improving a lot. And you know what? They're not the best team in baseball. Far from it. But the caller just outlined why they are capable of overachieving. They can run. And their pitching's overachieving, which is why you need to go out and add some veteran arms to eat some innings for this team, because it's too much to ask of Houck and Crawford to keep this up, given that they've barely ever pitched before, really. I mean, to talk about it in simple terms. They're approaching their innings max for their careers. You need to go out and add some pitching, because the rest of this team is figuring it out. The rest of this team is capable of overachieving because they can run. They put pressure on opposing pitching staffs, and they put pressure on opposing defenses. Is Duran and Hamilton last night, is it the best 1-2 in baseball? No, they're not the best hitters. Jarren Duran's not the best leadoff hitter in baseball. David Hamilton, I didn't think could hit. Look at the electricity they've given this team. Watch that first inning last night and tell me that Duran and Hamilton, that thing isn't working right now. Tell me that it can't keep working in baseball in 2024 with the rules in place that place an emphasis on speed and athleticism. This Red Sox team is fast, faster than any Red Sox team of my lifetime, and they're more athletic than most Red Sox teams in my lifetime. It's no surprise at this point, given how it's come together, that they're 10 games over 500 with those rules, with the way baseball is now. I see you on the phone line. Don't go anywhere. We'll take care of you, because the baseball hour doesn't end at 7 tonight. I'm going all the way until 11 o'clock, just staring into the abyss. Me, Majori's even leaving. I'm abandoned, man. I'm abandoned.
I truthfully can't wait to go home.
Thanks for rubbing it in. I'm not going anywhere. I will be back next after this.
baseball banter. The Baseball Hour with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
No Maz tonight, no Milliken, no Stu. You get me, McCarthy. We continue with your thoughts at 617-779-0985. I do like to talk in specifics as best we can. I mean, particularly, I know sports talk radio, it's more of a macro thing, but it's easy. I mean, I can come in here and say, yeah, go trade for a right-handed hitter. Go trade for a pitcher. Well, I said you want to trade for Garrett Crochet or you want to trade for Vlad Guerrero Jr. I'm swinging for the fences on both of those. I'd be willing to trade Marcelo Meyer in a deal for one of those guys. It is far more likely, frankly, I'd be shocked if the Red Sox did that. That's way too aggressive for them. It is far more likely that they would target a role player, which, again, fine. Add to this team. Add as best you can. Before Kevin Majori gets out of here tonight and leaves me all alone for the next 4 hours, just staring into the abyss on a Friday night, who's the guy that you're kind of interested in, Majori? Who's the guy that you want the Red Sox to go out and get?
Well, I did say I didn't want to give my dad credit, but I will give my dad credit on this. The name he brought up to me the other day was here last year, kind of struggling in Toronto, but it is a mess out there. Justin Turner.
It's a fit. It's a fit. It's not going to cost you much. Again, you want to target a role player, right-handed hitter. Justin Turner works. He can come in, be a platoon guy with Yoshida at DH. He could, platoon at first base with Casas if Casas doesn't come back. And we're not talking about that enough. This injury that Casas is coming back from, what's he going to be like when he comes back? Turner could play first. He could play a little bit of third. Please don't, for the love of God, ever put him at second base ever again. Don't do that. He has not had a good year in Toronto, has only 5 home runs. He's got a 700 OPS. He's 39 years old. You're going to have to pay him about $6 million if he comes here. If the Red Sox are willing to take on salary, that's a guy you're not going to have to give up a lot for. And he does fit a role. So, Justin Turner, yes, I'm in on that idea, or somebody of that profile. Do I want to shoot a little bit higher? Because I think you should shoot a little bit higher when you have, the dearth of prospects that you have right now. Yeah, I would probably shoot a little bit higher. But if we get to July 31st and, 4 o'clock rolls around and they add Justin Turner and say, let's just keep it with the Blue Jays, Yusei Kikuchi, all right, you're a better baseball team than you were the day before. You're a better baseball team, and far be it from me to criticize the Red Sox if they want to get better. Here's the deal. I see on the phone lines, we have one open phone line right now. 90 seconds, no commercials. Normally, this is where the baseball hour would end, but we'll continue with you. I take care of the people. Majori, am I a man of the people?
Yes, you are.
I'm so much a man of the people that I'm going to let you go home, and I'm not going to take these phone calls right now. I'm going to take them after the Sports Hub headlines. No commercials, just the headlines. Kevin Majori gets to go home. Then we continue with you, a little extended version of the baseball hour with McCarthy and from Maz.